Diane shook her head and finally threw her covers off. What the hell was going on out in the front room? Was Mom stuffing her fat face? Was Molly having some sickly cute conversation with her boring boyfriend? Was Jane admiring her rack? Diane moaned and shuffled out to the hall. Why was her family so annoying? Why couldn't they just let her sleep and not bother her during the night like they did during the day? The holidays were just so hard. Diane worked hard to avoid the family curse of overweight women, and seeing Mom gorge herself on holiday treats wasn't helping her stick to her diet. Molly was trying, but still a doughy example of what Diane could become if she didn't watch it. Jane was overweight too, even if her excess baggage was her chest. The combined annoyance was enough to drive Diane out of the kitchen and sneak a low-fat, gluten-free biscuit. Before she made it, the sight in the front room was enough to stop Diane cold. Mom was sleeping naked on the couch, looking like she had just been in a wrestling match. Her breasts had pink hand marks around them from rough groping. Her nipples were thick and hard, as if someone had been suckling from them. Across the room, amongst a bunch of unfamiliar presents, was a large one that looked like Molly tightly wrapped in silver fabric, her chubby belly exposed along with her mouth, stuffed with a ball gag. Drool streamed around the bright red ball. Then there was a man dressed as Santa Claus grinning crazily by the tree.
"Don't worry,"
he said casually.
"I didn't forget you."
Excuse me? The strange man held up a square package wrapped in shiny gold paper and capped with a fancy green bow. A name tag had Diane's name scrawled across it in bright red letters. What happened? What are you doing here?
Giving people exactly what they want. What else would Santa do?
Diane cautiously took the package and gave it a gentle shake. The contents rustled around. She had no idea what to think. The man's stare made her uncomfortable, so in hopes of ending the awkward situation, she pulled open a corner of the wrapping paper. As the shreds of fancy wrapping fell past the short hem of her sleep shirt and brushed against the long lines of the legs that she worked so hard to keep from getting flabby, before falling at her manicured feet, Diane suddenly realized how exposed she was. Then the smell hit her and her thoughts blurred. It was the scent of Grandma's Christmas cookies, a scent Diane loved from childhood that instantly took her back to the simple times when she didn't have to worry about counting calories. What is this? What did you get me?
Exactly what you've been longing for quite some time now. Freedom.
Santa smiled fiendishly.
For too long, you've wasted weeks of your life in the gym trying to prevent the inevitable. You've deprived yourself of foods you loved so much in an attempt to put off something that is ingrained in your genes.
He gestured to the blubbery form of Mother on the couch and the pale pooch of a flabby belly that stuck out from Molly's torso. The smell was getting stronger. Diane pulled open the box, and inside was a pile of the frosted sugar cookies that she remembered glutting herself on every time she went to visit Grandma when she was younger.
How long did you really think you could put it off? College? Where it's too hard to diet and you'd sprout love handles? Your first real job after college? Where you'd spend all day at a desk, snacking, and your ass swelling into the double-digit pant sizes?
Diane was having a hard time focusing. The sight and the smell of the cookies was too hard to resist. She picked up one and took a bite, savoring the sticky frosting and buttery cookie.
Marriage? When those thighs spread across the couch that you spend every evening sitting on, watching TV? Or maybe you could fight off your physical destiny until your first pregnancy, when your belly and tits swell to more than twice their original size, and years of diet and exercise are wiped away in a few short months.
Diane was on to her second cookie, eating this one a little faster.
Wouldn't it feel so good just to give in and let your wants and desires take over? as your fears and concerns about what other people think wash away.
A third and fourth cookie disappear into Diane's greedy mouth. She starts eating with both hands, one delicious cookie after another. Not just the irresistible frosted sugars, but the gooey chocolate chip, crumbly shortbread, and even creamy fudge. It's like every type of cookie Diane so fondly remembered from her childhood was crammed into the box. It never seemed to end, even after Diane started cramming huge handfuls up to her drooling lips. Diane could feel herself getting full. At first she ignored it. She wasn't going to let a little fullness interrupt a joy she had been depriving herself of for years. Then she glanced down past the box and noticed her round tummy. It wasn't just distended from overindulgence. She was getting fat. Diane didn't care. Santa was right. She was going to get fat anyway. There wasn't a thin, fit woman in the family. Jane was the closest, and she had gotten a bit chubby lately. The entire struggle to get to the gym every day and the fight to restrain her appetite hardly seemed worth it, if she was just going to be a fatty in the end anyway. Diane sat the box on the coffee table so she could lean over it as she sat on the big, comfy recliner. Her thighs and hips spread out to the armrests. She glanced away from the cookies for a second to see that she had gained the Hovenstein hips already. Then her attention went right back to the box, the seemingly endless box of all her favorite irresistible cookies. She felt so full, but so desperately wanted to eat as many as she could. Diane grabbed 2 more handfuls and stuffed them into her mouth. Her cheeks stretched to capacity. Diane struggled to chew faster so she could get more of her childhood favorites into her thickening middle before whatever crazy dream this was ended. It had to be a dream, right? There was no way this was happening for real. Diane looked down again. Her belly was really fat and wide. She spread her chubby legs to let its heft fall between her chubby knees. The effort was tough because her hips were wedged so tightly into the chair now. She had ballooned bigger than Molly, but not quite as fat as Mom yet. Her sleep shirt had rolled up over her beefy hips and rounding belly to just under her breasts. Her breasts had pretty much stayed the same size that they had always been. Figures, Diane huffed through a mouthful of cookies. Crumbs sprayed out from her mouth and nose. Santa sat on the arm of the couch, his hand casually resting on Mom's doughy thigh.
Ah, I so rarely get to see people enjoy my gifts.
Santa stood and strolled over to the binging Diane. He slapped her hanging gut, so thick and heavy. Diane ignored him and kept gorging. She was bigger than Mom now, far too big for the chair. If she tried to get up, she'd find herself stuck.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. An unrelenting appetite, and a body so fat and out of shape that you'll never be concerned with going to the gym again. You'll be able to make up for years of lost gluttony. Of course, you'll be as big as a whale by doing so. But I have a feeling you'll be okay with that.
Diane started huffing and puffing. Beads of sweat started to form on her brow. She still had no intention of stopping, but the feeling of fullness and discomfort was growing rapidly. The chair creaked as the nails in the armrest separated from the base of the chair. Diane's hips and ass oozed into the cracks and crevices like a blob from a sci-fi movie. Her hanging belly swayed between her thick cankles. She couldn't have moved if the chair had started on fire. Mere minutes ago, she had been the fittest member of her family, but now she weighed more than her younger sister and mother combined. Yet, Diane kept eating. She grunted loudly as the box got harder to reach. Her fattening arms seemed like they got shorter as the distance over her belly got longer. Diane slowly let exhaustion take over her as her vision blurred and her eyelids got heavy. She was feeling a burn and a stretch so much more satisfying than the one she got in the gym. Soon, her crumb-encrusted face tilted to the side as she passed out from the exertion.